So back in the 19th century, engineers were concerned with the efficiency of steam engines. You know, how hot should the fire be? What substance should you boil in the steam engine? Should it be water or should it be something else? These were profound questions. And out of those questions arose the science of thermodynamics. It's when concepts like heat and temperature and energy entered the scientific vocabulary for the first time. Now, along with that deeper understanding emerged what is probably the most important law of physics for understanding the evolution of the universe and the passage of time. It's called the Second Law of Thermodynamics. The reason the Second Law of Thermodynamics was so profound was because at its heart it contained a radically new concept, something physicists call entropy. Entropy explains why, left to the mercy of the elements, mortar crumbles, glass shatters, and buildings collapse. And a good way to understand how is to think of objects not as single things, but as being made up of many constituent parts, like the individual grains that make up this pile of sand. Now, entropy is a measure of how many ways I can rearrange those grains and still keep the sand pile the same. And there are trillions and trillions and trillions of ways of doing that. I mean, pretty much anything I do to this sand pile, if I mess the sand around and move it around, then it doesn't change the shape or the structure at all. So, in the language of entropy, this sand pile has high entropy because there are many, many ways that I can rearrange its constituents and not change it. But now let me create some order in the universe. Now there are approximately as many sand grains in this sandcastle as there are in the sand pile. But now, virtually anything I do to it will mess it up, will remove the beautiful order from this structure. And because of that, the sandcastle has a low entropy. It's a much more ordered state. So many ways of rearranging the sand grains without changing the structure, high entropy. Very few ways of rearranging the sand grains without changing the structure, without disordering it, low entropy. Now imagine I was to leave this castle in the desert all day, then it's obvious what's going to happen. The desert winds are going to blow the sand around and this castle is going to disintegrate. It's going to become less ordered. It's going to fall to bits. But think about what's happening on the fundamental level. I mean, the wind is taking the sand off the castle and blowing it over there somewhere and making a sand pile. There's nothing fundamental in the laws of physics that says that the wind couldn't pick up some sand from over here, deposit it here, and deposit it in precisely the shape of a sandcastle. You know, in principle, the wind could spontaneously build a sandcastle out of a pile of sand. There's no reason why that couldn't happen. It's just extremely, extremely unlikely because there are very few ways of organising this sand so that it looks like a castle. It's overwhelmingly more likely that when the wind blows the sand around, it will take the low entropy structure, the castle, and turn it into a high entropy structure, the sand pile. So entropy always increases. Why is that? Because it's overwhelmingly more likely that it will.